The home fans were more than ready.
The weather's good. The fans are here. We're going to get a win against these Browns today.
We're winning this game 100%.
Just want the win.
Just want the win.
Stay top the division.
That's all we need.
A packed house to watch a Washington team riding a wave of momentum. The Commanders dominate on both sides of the ball and win their fourth straight.
We're not just hanging our hats on what we've done in the past. And I think we've just been listening to how DQ's been leading us.
A happy coach, owner, and GM. And why not? They're in first place in the NFC East.
In a few words, to describe this team right now.
You know, the culture, energetic, fun.
What to make of this latest impressive win? And looking ahead to an epic matchup in Baltimore. On this week's Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
Hell yes. Raise hell. Go Commanders.
The man
call somebody
is back,
else.
y'all.
We're
He's
back.
Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your
Tony
daddy.
is
We're
back.
back, and we're back.
We're back.
Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back. Tony
Hey.
McGee.
Come on. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee. What's up?
A lot of us was concerned when we knew that the Commanders were going to Cleveland to play a tough running team, a team that's known, but we got it wrong first. They weren't going to Cleveland. We were playing at home, so we had that wrong. We thought Cleveland could run the ball. We had that wrong. We thought Deshaun Watson was leaving his money in the massage parlor, but he left his game there. And when you started leaving this game, they could not play against this team. We're talking about the Washington Commanders now. We're talking about playoff bound. But one thing we're talking about in D.C. is a new Daniels in town, and it ain't Jack. Everybody's talking about it. I brought on some people to talk about it. I brought Big Trey Johnson on, who used to keep everybody off the quarterback. Trey, what's up, man?
What's good, Tom?
All right, I brought in the treetop lover, Big Solomon McGee. What's up, boy?
What's going on, Pop?
Did you watch it good? Was it the game you thought it'd be?
Hey, everything I asked for.
Alex, man, it looked like we had a new team out there, did we not?
Tony, all I know is you just brought up massage parlors and Jack Daniels in the intro. So if that's an indication of what kind of show this is going to be, I think we're
going to have fun. That's what the indication is. And Donna, if you take a look at it, you hate to say it, but Washington lost the game. But one thing that has transpired with this team, and I'm glad we got Trey Johnson on here, because this team is running the ball now. By them being able to run in the ball, and they got three good running backs, but the quarterback seems to be the straw that's turning everything.
Yeah, Tony, you exactly right. I mean, when you talk about Jaden Daniels, you hear special, the words that everybody talks about. The national media was at the game because everybody wanted to see who this guy was that was causing all the commotion here in Washington, D.C. And Tony, he makes everything look so effortless, his performance. And it wasn't like he started off strong like he had the previous two games, but it was big plays that was taking place. I mean, the one to Terry McLaurin, the touchdown to De'Ami Brown. You talked about the running game that's just killing everybody with Brian Robinson. Austin Eckler was back, McNichols. And then you got the offensive line. So I'm setting you up, Tony, for Trey Johnson to come in to talk about that offensive line that is just gelling right now.
They were pretty magnificent. And you know what, Trey, we talked about it before, but we bring you on because we know you one of the best ever to don this uniform. And if you take a look at them, they're running the ball very well. And they have three capable running backs. Which one do you make the featured back? And do you keep doing this with the offensive line over and over again, Trey?
Thanks for that. Absolutely. You keep running the ball and you run it with Brian Robinson being the feature back to me. Robinson is that dude. He has everything you want. He punishes defenses, doesn't turn the ball over too much. And the other guys, I don't care what order you put them in after him, can be a change of pace as long as you keep pounding the ball. I commend these coaches for putting the game plan together that maximizes the talent that they do have, especially up front. They run the ball, they eat the clock up, they keep opposing offenses off balance. They never let any other offense get into a rhythm against them. And, you know, I still think Deshaun Watson may have a future there. Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. You know, Kyler, like they keep everybody off rhythm to allow them to ground and pound, eat up the clock. It's old school football. It's going back to an era, you know, when I played. So I commend the coaches. I commend the line. And, you know, Jaden Daniels is something special right now.
It seems though they're trying to get these the receivers more involved, big fella. And as you noticed a few weeks ago, we were talking about where was Terry, where was this and where was that. And it seems that they're working them in now, and they're at the times that they need to make the big catch, they're making them.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely, because the coach is actually putting them in, like Trey Pound said, it's just we running the ball, and then that's setting up for the pass. Like they got to respect the run, and then right when they think they got that settled, then he's taking a bomb down to Diami or Terry. So I'm liking everything right now. I mean, you know, I feel like we just on the up and up. They protecting. I'm seeing them do, like, it reminded me how Trey Pound used to block. Them boys are getting to the second level. So I used to see Trey knock the guy off in front of him and then go take a linebacker out like it was nothing. So we grooving right now, and I'm liking it.
Even with that happening, and Alex, you tell me the one thing that we are all afraid of when we see him running the ball, even though he does it very easily and he looks very smooth. I was looking at those running backs they had on the screen that had 1,000 yards in a certain amount of time, or they had 500 or 400 yards. I played with each and every one of them, and we never won on those teams. But with that being said, Alex, do you be a little bit afraid that he's kind of small and he could get hurt? Or do you think with his speed and with his head, his savvy, that he knows what to do when he need to do it?
Listen, anything can happen on any play. Tom Brady, not a runner. There was the 1 year when he tore an ACL just standing in the pocket. We know what happened with RG3 and Haloti Ngata. That can happen to any quarterback or, frankly, any player on any play at any level. That said, sure, Jaden Daniels has to stay healthy. This guy is everything folks thought he might be, hoped he might be, and through 5 games, he's even better than that. It's nuts. But, yeah, you do worry about injuries. He has gotten to be a much better slider in 4 or 5 games. Remember the first game or two, he was kind of going head first and kind of tumbling. Last couple of times he slid, looks like Trey Turner in baseball, like the slide where you stand right up. So, yeah, listen, I'm sure they were telling him, man, you're the franchise. We need you to get out of bounds. We need you to get down. He doesn't seem to want to run unless he has to run. It doesn't appear to me, and I don't know 1/10 of what you and Trey know because you played the game. It doesn't look as if at the first moment, I'm out of here. He exhausts everything, would rather throw it. But when he runs, it's beautiful to watch. He's fast and effortless. But sure, could he get hurt? Yeah, because anybody could. I have a feeling they are stressing to him, we need you on the field for about the next 12 years.
Well, you know, as an older guy on here, I think I must say what I think at this time. And we don't need to get ahead of ourselves. You're right, he could get hurt, but at the same time, he's establishing himself in the league as being an all-around player. But now the players are bigger, stronger, and everything. We don't worry about that. One thing that he has shown that I think is really, really good is leadership. Also, situation. He takes every situation, and you can see him analyze it, and he analyzes it very quick. So what I'm looking at him is from the quarterback structure, but I'm looking at everyone around him seem to have picked up their game. And that's what's really important for me. So now, Trey, do they move away, or do they, as we actually run more, or do you try to get even more of a balance so they can not tell what those offensive linemen are doing or what the game plan is?
Run more. And I say run more because then you can slowly and gradually over the course of the season start to open everything up from the run. The run is what you do well. Why limit it? Don't overthink things. You know what I mean? Until they can stop it, until they can cause you problems where you can't effectively run the ball, eat up the clock, play game control, and play solid defense to win games anymore, don't stop doing it. Then the play action opens up. Then, as he gradually gets more and more comfortable, you show more and more. I mean, the more you can keep close to the vest earlier on, the better you can be down the length of the season when it's time to play some real teams. I mean, not saying everybody in the NFL is not a real team. I don't think they've been challenged really yet by a monster yet. Baltimore going to be that challenge, even though I don't think Baltimore's defense is what it was last year. But I think you keep running it. You keep running it. You keep letting him do his thing. Show it they can stop him. And then you always got, the air assault in the pocket when you're ready to unleash it.
Donna, a few weeks ago, we were apprehensive, and we were talking about this team. If they do not do this,
you were
what may happen, what would transpire. What are you feeling? And I know when you were in the locker room, you said you could feel a little bit edgy there that they had. But what are you feeling when you go and speak to these guys now in the locker room? Is there a confidence there? Do they know what they're doing, why they're doing it? Do they know what they need to improve on? What are they saying now?
Hey, Tony, you know what? As Coach Quinn in his presser talked about that this is a hardcore guys. I asked them basically in the locker room, how would they assess this team too? But Tony, let's go back just a little bit because Jayden Daniels need to be shined on a little bit. When you look at 434 yards, this offense, and, Daniel was beating you. If he wasn't beating you throwing the ball, he was eluding you. He had 6 runs for 65 yards scrambling, and also 8 of 17 attempts, Tony. They couldn't even stop him because I always think that if you slow him down, you're going to take away some of his game. So for me, he's got to be true. Dan Quinn said that they're setting up the offense for his abilities, for his talent and everything. Mm-hmm. But Tony, the guys in the locker room had a lot of great things to say about just how they see and also looking ahead to Baltimore now. This is what they had to say. Let's go to the locker room.
We have to just clean up the little things because we're going to be going on the road against a really good Baltimore team, and we got to be able to minimize mistakes if we're going to be able to win that game. But the vibes in here are really high because of the way we're competing in practice and it's showing up in the game, the little things.
For us, it's one at a time, focus one at a time. Someone told me to play Baltimore next week. That's the first time, I wasn't even thinking Baltimore. Now I'm thinking, Baltimore next week. But that's how our team is. Hey, we attack this week with everything we can to give it everything we got and then make the plays, and then whatever happens after that, it doesn't matter until it comes. Today, it was just a different kind of philosophy for us to win the game. We had big plays, which obviously helped us. We want to see that because we haven't had as many as we had today in the past. So I think it was great to be able to show, hey, we can win this way as well.
I just seen a lot of people executing the game plan. And we have things that we have to work on and improve on. Protecting the ball obviously being the main thing. But I just feel like we're playing really unselfish ball. Everybody's playing hard, and I just think we just got to clean up the little things.
In a few words, if you were to describe this team right now, how would you describe them overall, the whole team?
Selfless. Just a bunch of individuals playing for the greater good of the team.
In a few words to describe this team right now overall, not just on the offensive side of the ball, what comes to mind?
The culture, energetic, fun. Having that Q back there is huge, for sure. But like I said, DQ came in here. I didn't really understand culture. I haven't been a part of a quote-unquote good culture. This year, I'm slowly but surely, I see it. It's really cool to see, to be a part of talking and acting on it. So, I'm excited about that. I just, as a team, I'm interested in seeing how we, go against adversity when adversity hits us. We've been doing a really good job, obviously leading ahead, but we can't sleep on that. We just got to keep working, keep coming, and not get complacent. That's a huge thing right now.
Donna, when I'm listening to the interview, we were kind of like that. When we first started winning, we didn't know how much to say, how much not to say. we thought we could fix everything. Excuse me. But you see this team right now, they are growing. And one thing when we come back, they're not just growing one way. The way they are growing is the defense. We talked about this defense last week. We talked about how bad they were and everything else. But this week, I think it was not one man on that defense that did not perform. When we come back, we'll talk to you about who really won the game. Everyone hit your knees right now because we have someone royalty have come into the house. He came here just to give us a little time, and we got to be thankful. I would not waste his time because he's always number one. I'm talking about the G. What's up, G?
Mr.
You
McGee,
just get
how
back
are
from
you,
Europe,
sir?
man. Come on. You walk off and look at sunglasses and everything. Come on now.
We're celebrating. We're celebrating. The team is doing well.
Man, we didn't know what to do with the receivers while you were gone. They seemed, and you know, G, I'm joking with you on one thing, but at the same time, the receivers have really started to step up. Is that because of the game plan or because they're stepping up?
I mean, I think take away the first game, they've stepped up every week. I mean, just been a part of it. You know, I mean, the offense has been playing well the entire season, other than the first. Even the first game they played well, they just didn't get into the end zone. I mean, they moved the ball down the field. They've always been able to move the ball down the field and put themselves in scoring position. But first game, they didn't score touchdowns. But ever since then, they score a lot. And all to do with a team effort at the end of the day. People are blocking. People are running the ball well, and they're catching the ball. It's definitely a team effort. And now that the defense is coming along and playing great too, now it's starting to feel a little bit like, I'm going to go ahead and say Redskin football at the end of the day. Those Commanders football is starting to feel like Redskin football right now.
There you go. There you go. Donna, before you jump to the defense, which I know you will have to talk very nicely about them.
I've been talking good about them for 2 weeks.
Oh, you haven't been talking good nothing. I don't even want to hear it. But before we get away from this offense, before we get away from the offense, it's very important, those three running backs they got, and they got three very good ones, and each of them have different skills. Is that part of the reason this offense is running well and doing well as well?
Well, Tony, the running game pretty much has set up everything. I mean, and I know Gary would like to say the pass, but Trey will probably agree with me as far as those three backs in the backfield, because any offensive lineman, and Sam Cosme will tell you that any offensive lineman want to have the ball in the back's hands to block for them to start that. So everything starts with that running game this year. And you see that game after game, which it sets up the play action pass. It sets up the pass, the long bomb and everything. Plus it sets up Jayden Daniels also, because if you look at the blocking from the offensive line right now, it is so key. And the blocking for the running backs is even more special. I mean, Tony, come on. Trey Johnson will agree with me that is that running game is the bread and the butter of this team. Jayden Daniels, then it's the running game. Right, Trey?
I don't think you ever have a complete team and say who's the heart of it. Everybody's the heart of it. And Solomon, I'm coming back to you because
but that running game is the bread and butter that you slice it, you put the peanut butter on it, you put the jelly on it, and then everything else.
Then you drop it and can't eat it because your defense didn't do well. You got to have that defense in there somewhere. You may drop your sandwich. So you know what? When I'm talking about that, Solomon,
well, they made us drop our sandwich beginning. They made us drop the sandwich.
Was that the best we've seen this defensive line play in a while, big fella?
7 sacks, spread it around. Frankie Louisville was running around like a madman. 93 and 94 was just shutting down the middle. Fig Newton, our new rookie, as I call him, Fig the Newton, he was jamming the middle. Our corners was locking up. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was great team ball, and that's what's getting us these wins. And I really want to give my hat, and I want to give a game ball to the Harris Group, Matty Johnson, AP, and DQ. The culture has changed. The attitude has changed. Pops, they did the wave. I ain't seen the wave since Trey Pound played. They did the wave in the stadium. I saw way more Commander fans than Brown fans this time. So, no, them 7 sacks and our defense, 3 and out. Let's go.
And that's what you got to have. But, you know,
Let's
if you take a look at it, we said this team needs this. We have to start talking about it, and we're going to go on and put special teams in here because I think later on in the thing we got some people to talk about. But the one thing that really was great about this game, each and every segment, offense, defense, special teams did something well. And when the special teams, I look at the first time they went out and they kicked the ball to them, they tried to run and they did not catch them for a loss, but they put a big hit on them. So we knew it was going to be all day. Do you see this team, Alex, as becoming a team? Not we're sectionalizing it and talking about each position, but as a whole unit, can you see them coming together right now?
Absolutely. Donna, when she talked with a couple of players in the locker room, the one guy talked about culture, which Solomon just alluded to. The other player talked about being selfless and how this is so much bigger than each of them. And that sounds sort of corny, but you don't hear teams that are 3 and 8 saying that stuff. You hear good teams say that. This team is going to something. One of the guys I work with, his name is Sean Paul. Great guy, loves Washington football. Not as old as me, but he goes back a little bit. He says to me this morning, you know what, Alex? I go, what, Sean Paul? He says, we got something. It is such a great way to explain it. Fans can see it. They can feel it. We can see it. We can feel it. They got something, Tony. They got the franchise quarterback. They've got a running game. They got a great defense. They've got a culture, which even in the midst of the RG3, apex for about a year when they had a franchise quarterback before sadly he got hurt and all of that happened. I don't know that anybody thought this team, this franchise, had a culture to be proud of. They got it now. Now listen, I don't know what happens first. I don't know whether they got a great culture and then they win because of it, or when you win a bunch of games, it's easy to go, we got great culture. They got it, Tony. They got all of it. Now listen, Sunday in Baltimore is it. Okay, and we'll see what this looks like against a premier, maybe the best team in all of football. But Tony McGee, they got it. They got it. Right now, they got it. Whether they still have it January 10th, when the rookie quarterback might hit a wall, I don't know. Right now, they got it.
Well, Donna, you bought your Super Bowl tickets yet? It looked like we're on the way. And I know when you speak to the fans now, they're more optimistic even, right, Donna?
Hey, Tony, they are. I'm not jumping ahead of myself right now, but I think before I go to the locker room and let you all hear what they had to say, Solomon hit something heavy. I mean, this Washington Commanders team had 7 sacks this week, 4 the previous week, and 2 players. I'm not just, I'm shining on those 2 guys because those linebackers, as far as Frankie Louisville, 2.5 sacks. Bobby Wagner's right behind me at 1.5. And then you look at just the points that they held them to the last 2 weeks. But let's go right to the locker room because I'm giving the defense hats off because the last 2 weeks, Dan Quinn talked about they're playing faster now. And he talked about the tackling has gotten better. Communication has gotten better. The leverage, all of those things that you want to see from the defense has gotten better. But to the locker room, Tony, for the defensive side of the ball.
Where do you see this defense as far as just seems like you all are clicking?
Like I said, Coach always preached about just popcorn plays. Like at the beginning of the season, we'll have a bad play here, bad play there, bad play there. And it just be like little things like one guy might mess up here, one guy might mess up there. So it's just all about just turning those negative plays into positive plays and have guys doing positive stuff over here, positive stuff over there instead of negative stuff.
Talk about today's game a little bit. What did you see from today's game as far as what you all were able to do against Cleveland?
Man, we was having fun out there. It was like they couldn't stop us, but we definitely left a little bit on the table towards the end in the run game, but I feel like we came out with the right intentions and just did what we had to do.
1-1 start for this team. What words come to mind when you describe this team overall?
Fun. That's the biggest thing, fun. Just being a part of this group. We got a good mix of older guys, younger guys. It's a lot of fun.
Defensively, 2 weeks in the road, all phases of this defense has really been clicking. What has been the key in these last 2 weeks of what you're seeing?
Just trying to lock in on the little things. I think, early in the season, it was one guy here, one guy there, and I think it's just we're trying to put it together collectively. Everybody playing on one string, one accord, and I feel like we're getting close to that. We still got a lot of room to go.
Hey, Tony, and two guys I want to call out is Mathis and Armstrong, two guys that in the last couple of weeks, you're hearing noise from them and also this whole defensive unit.
Yeah, and I think, if you look at they got a new leader in town and you got to take a look at everything that's added in. We've heard a lot from Armstrong. We got him from Dallas. And we heard a lot from all the new people they brought in. So that tells you what this organization, and that's right, like Big Zoe said, my hat's off for them because they've gone out. I thought when they got rid of people that they got rid of a few number one draft choices and it was going to be a rebuilding and stuff. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, we're not getting ahead of ourselves because teams get a feeling. And that's why I want to come back to you for this break, Trey. We got about 2 or 3 minutes. When you guys, and I remember when you started in and you grew as a person and you grew as a lineman and the team grew together, when was that point when y'all knew you were going to the playoffs and you had an opportunity? What was the feeling in the locker room? And do you think they'll get that here or do they have it?
Am I answering it now or are we waiting until we come back?
No. You can do it now.
All right. I would say I think it's a confidence born out of your proven ability. And I think for us, once we were falling on the right side of some plays that may have not gone our way in the past or winning some games that we wouldn't have won in the past, not making as many. I think it was more of a mental thing. Like, because you know what? We knew like last year we would have lost that game. He would have dropped that ball. We would have missed that block. This assignment wouldn't have been done. And everybody would have shook their heads and, kind of wrote it off as, man, it's just who we are. As opposed to like the years when we started watching miracles happen or things, it was a conversation once. We got down one, I can't remember what the year was, but we played the Carolina Panthers and they had a dude named Bianca, running back with an African name.
Bianca Batul.
Killed us. We was down like 28-0. And D Green, and we was killing. We was riding high. We was blowing people out. D Green came over to me in Westbrook, and he was like, "Is this too much?" And I didn't say anything. I ain't gonna lie. I was sitting there like contemplating. Westbrook got up and be like, "Nah, dog, we about to win this for you, partner. Don't even worry about it. It's about to happen right now. We about to reel him in." I looked at him like, "All right, yeah," what he said, but and we ended up winning the game. And to me, I think that was the moment. At least for that year, I knew we was going to the playoffs. I knew we was going to do big things. Didn't end the way we wanted it to, but that was the moment I remember.
And I tell you what, you have those moments, and when you get them as a player, and you know it, G, and we all know it, and even in your businesses that you're in, you have that moment where you can see success. You can see where your work is paying off. And I think we're getting there right now with this Washington team. But at the same time, we have to understand they're getting ready to go into the Lions Den this weekend, and they must be ready. They can't go in there and talk about, okay, we're ready, we've won a few games, because the team they're about to play may be the best team in football. So when we get back, we'll talk about this team. I say they're the best team, but one week they look like they could be worse. But we still look at it. That is a dangerous team up in Maryland, and we don't want them to come across the bridge and beat us. We'll be right back in a moment.
Next.
You know, each and every week, I have to say this because, it's amazing. And a lot of you say, well, how did you do that? 40 years. And, most of these people that's on the set with me, starting with my son, Solomon, Donna, G, they're always, and the rest of my interview, even Alex was on. And you know what? These guys have made this show great. And we've gone through the good and the bad. So now it's time for us to have fun because we're going through the good. And if you look around the league, though, Donna, and who they're getting ready to play, we can't relax. We can feel good, but we can't relax because they got something in front of them.
Yeah, Tony, and we just to start with the Baltimore Ravens just up the street a little ways. They were in a dogfight 41-38 over the Bengals. Everybody thought that the Bengals was out of here, that they were going to do anything, but Baltimore, Lamar Jackson had to come back in the end and win that game. I'm going right to Gary Clark to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. What is the key, Gary, when they face up against the Commanders this week? Because you got two high-power offensive, great quarterbacks going against each other.
Going to come down to the defense. It's really going to come down to the defense 100%. Their quarterback for Baltimore is special. He's special like our guy is special, but he's been special every year he's been in the league. So the defense was going to really showing about what they need to do, how they need to contain this gentleman. And if they're able to contain him, we win this football game. I don't want to jinx the team by saying we can be playoff bound, but we could be playoff bound if they're able to come in, control that quarterback that they have, who's one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the league, and shut them down defensively. Then we got a team.
Well, Tony, I'm coming right to you because Derrick Henry, had 199 yards a week ago. Then he was the key guy, 51-yard run that he helped them get into that winning thing. How do you see this Baltimore Raven team? Because I want to stay here for a minute since the Commanders are going to play with this and get everybody's comments. But Derrick Henry, Tony, that running back is key.
That's just like the whole situation here. You have a running back that can change the game. Now they're starting to utilize him in a way where they don't run him right away. If you'll notice, into the third quarter on Sunday, the fourth quarter, he only had 12 carries. But when it was time to get the cowbell out or whatever they call it, the big fella carried it home. That's what you have to look at, and that's what makes this team so tough. And what it is, they had this ideology in the beginning, and they used the quarterback as their running back. And, eventually, as he did at points last year and prior to that, he will get hurt. Now they got a horse. They got a mule. They got a guy that every time they get ready to run the ball, and you can ask Trey Johnson about this, when you got a man behind you, weigh 250 pounds, can run about a 4.6 40 and run over you, and you can count on him anytime, that makes that team maybe 2 times tougher than they were last week. Now that they're utilizing him, I look at this team right now, when they play together, nobody's going to touch them. But this weekend, they will be touched.
Hey, Trey, I'm coming to you. You got a heavyweight fight getting ready to take place between two teams, right about 15 minutes from each other. What do you see as the key on both sides of the ball? Heavyweight knockout. You got Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali going up against each other.
I told you, I turned the lights off.
Well, you want to be Muhammad, obviously. But I would say it's going to be all about who can do their thing. I think both of these teams need to run the ball. I think the team that runs the ball is going to keep the other team's offense out of rhythm. And I think the Washington hasn't really had to deal with that. They've been able to get the young boys into a groove, spread the ball around, do what they wanted to do. And they've been able to shut down the run, props up to 9-3 and 9-4. Them two boys inside, still the two best defensive tackles to me. So it's going to be interesting because Derrick Henry is another type of dude. Plus, if Lamar wants to pull, you got to deal with him too. You know what I'm saying? So they almost mirror images of each other than I think they get the nod as far as Derrick and Lamar on that side. But it's whoever can execute their game plan, considering everybody's going to be healthy, who can get their game plan off. And I think stop the other team's run.
Hey, Solomon, I'm coming to you because when you look at both defensive teams, who has the most problems or who needs to be worried the most about the opposite team's offense? Is it the Commanders or is it Baltimore? Talk to me about the defense on both sides.
Both defense are great, but this is what it is going to boil down to: who is tackling that day. We're actually tackling better as a team now. We're actually getting people down with the first hit opposed to the third or fourth hit. It's going to come down to tackling and who could stop those running backs. Now, one thing I do notice, not saying that it's an Alabama running back thing, but even with our running back, if you hit them in the backfield, they can go down. Once they get past the backfield and get to the next level, you're in trouble then. So I feel like whoever can stop Derrick Henry in the back or vice versa, our running back, which is Robinson in the back, that'll be the better chance. But I'm feeling good about us right now just because we have been making tackles that I felt like the first week we were clearly missing. So I just want to keep that momentum going. And I definitely feel like it's going to be a good bat. I mean, like Dad said, it reminds me of the back in the days when the heavyweight fights counted, where you knew you had to bring it for your opponent or they were going to send you home.
Well, Alex, I'm taking you around the league a little bit more. We put that to bed right now. Good analysis from everyone. Alex, NFC East, let's talk about these two teams. The New York Giants started off, looked like they were dead in the waters. And all of a sudden, they'd won 2 games in a row, almost got close to blowing a 10-point lead. How do you see the Giants right now? Are they waking up from their deep sleep?
Perhaps. I mean, it shows you the unpredictability of the National Football League, and maybe that's why we love it so much, that week to week you just don't know. If you look at my picks at the end of the show, you'll see that I really don't know. Giants go to Seattle. Tough place to play. I know Seattle's not the Seattle of 15 years ago, but still a tough place to play. They were 3-1. Giants, and Giants don't win the game. They got a great special teams play where the guy jumped over or sort of between the line, blocks a kick, runs it back for the touchdown. You just don't know. I don't think vis-a-vis the Commanders that the Commanders have to worry that much about the New York Football Giants. I think by the time we get to December, I don't know that they'll be a factor in the NFC East race. But yeah, they're good enough, albeit with Daniel Jones and all the things that probably a lot of folks don't love about that outfit, to win a game here and there. They could have been the Commanders if they had a kicker. So that shows you how in a couple weeks things can change. Yeah, anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday. I don't know that the Giants are really a threat to the other teams in the NFC East.
Say what? Wait, whoa.
What, Tony?
Come on, man. They can't play dead in a Custer's Last Stand movie. They got in there and they were lucky. They are not a good team. Yes.
Well, let's.
Yeah, I don't think they're all that. They gave their best running back away. The defense is not playing the way they should, and the coaches lost. And you know what? They shouldn't win. The team we should worry about is with Philadelphia, find out what's wrong with them, which we all gonna find out soon, because something's going on in that locker room. G, you know how.
Well, we didn't have Tony, but we didn't have to worry about the Philadelphia Eagles because they were on break. So let's go to the Dallas Cowboys, who on Sunday night with lightning and the pouring rain, luckily pulled out a rabbit's foot and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gary, Dallas, Prescott seems to be struggling right now. I mean, he had a rough game, even though they pulled it out. How do you see this Dallas team right now at 3-2? And what do you see that's going wrong with this team?
I mean, Dallas is one of those teams that, you know, you count them out and they come back in. You know, Dak's having an off game, but then he comes down and beats you when he has to beat you. It's a funny thing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the Lions are going to win that football game, but I'm not 100% sure that they're going to win that football game. Just because with Dallas, you just never know. They always tend to find a way to hang around, to stay around, and to upset you when, you know, they screwed up my pick last week. Because I thought the Steelers definitely was going to win that football game, and they proved me wrong because, you know, when you don't expect them to do great things, they do great things. So that's the best part about football, especially in the NFL. You got to play every Sunday. Every Sunday counts.
Hey, Tony, in the final words, we got 2 hot games. Texans ends up beating Buffalo, who's lost 2 games straight. Josh Allen goes down. They brought him back in. He had a concussion. He should have been out. Talk a little bit about what's going on with Buffalo. We got about 2 minutes to go. And then Arizona shocked San Francisco and beat them also.
Well, we forgot how good, and let's go with the latter. We forgot how good Arizona was because the quarterback was hurt last year. He was not able to prove it. If you'll remember his first year,
They were not that good.
They were pretty good from whence they came. Let's do it like that. And right now he's back and he made play. Now I was the one that made fun of him, talking about he was too little. I did think he could sit on the curve and swing his legs, but he did a great job. And I look at them as being a team that you have to worry about. Then I'm giving you. It don't matter what the team is now. It don't matter who the team is. Right now, other than any other time, I think we have parity in this league where we can look at any given week, except for the Giants. Anybody can win. And there's a lot of new teams out there, the Minnesotas, the Arizonas, the different teams. It's going to be a different champion this year. I keep telling you guys that. It's not going to be in the red and white guys out in Kansas City this time. It's going to be a different champion. And what we have to look at is right now it's formulating. We'll see in about 2 or 3 weeks who's for real and who's for not. It's just like when I first brought Donna on this show, I thought she knew what she was talking about.
Hey, Tony, all I know is that
that's on y'all. I'm going to take a break on that one. I thought she knew. Hey, G, why didn't you tell me? We'll be back in a moment. Get your notes out, Donna. Get your crayons out.
Kansas City, 2 back-to-back, Tony. That's all I want to say. Kansas City again.
We'll be back in a moment.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you could also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute.
One more thing.
Number 78, Tony McGee, is always capable of outstanding physical accomplishment and is fast becoming one of the more punishing and able defensive ends in the league. The Patriots limited Mitchell to 52 yards. Next, the Denver Broncos were blown away by the strong winds of a Patriot rush, which downed their quarterbacks 9 times.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another year of Pro Fitness for Everyone. I'm Ricky Irving, and I'm excited to team up again with the beautiful and tenacious Donna Hopkins of Pro Football Plus. This year, guys, we're all about having fun while introducing new exercises, discussing football, pulling our hair out as we discuss football, and giving you personalized routines and fitness tips just to keep you motivated and strong. So get up, say a little prayer, and let's all go to work. Like I said, it really tests and see how strong your hamstring really is. We call it the freaking hamstring. That's the name of the machine. You go all the way down. Lord, have mercy. See, I'm older too, so it's a little different. Muscles ain't the same as it used to be. But this is a fabulous exercise, man, and you're going to love it. Really works the hamstrings. And I want you to be able to go all the way down, even without the rope, and come back up. Now slow. Walk it. There you go. Yes. The look that you got on your face, I need it every time. Up. Slow. There we go. There we go. Get that face. Get that face right there. Now come up. Come up. There you go. There you go. There you go. You come up, I want you to try to control it.
Well, the fitness tips is back again. Ricky Irvins is back to whip Tony and everybody except me into shape because I'm already there. And this week he had an exciting challenge for all of us with the holidays, candy treats coming up, Tony. But we have another challenge, Tony, with the restaurants challenge. It's called Pro Football Plus Challenge with Glory Days, Crystal City Pub, Kellogg's, and Crystal City Restaurant, Tony. We got hot action for Monday night picking and Sunday night games, Tony. It's going to be fun in the next weeks coming up to see who wins.
Well, you know, Donna, we used to just do the restaurants and stuff, but this year we expanded it. Did you hear you said Kellogg's? We got them. You guys don't know what Kellogg's is. That's a company in Battle Creek, Michigan that feeds the world. Happen to be where I'm from. Then we got Crystal City Restaurant, Crystal City Pub, and then we got Glory Days. But we're going to add 4 more. This is going to be fun this year. And whoever wins, me and the crew going to come out during the playoffs and do a talk with all of their people. We're gonna have fun at their restaurant, but we're not just doing restaurants. So if you guys want to be involved, take a look at this. Look at what they're doing this week. You still have 2 or 3 weeks before you can get in. I mean, you can't get in.
And Tony, you know what? We got a little time before we go to our picks to see who's winning. It wouldn't be you right now, but I want to ask everybody.
Beg your pardon. What did you say?
That you're not leading the picks, but I wanted to.
I'm getting pencil. Hey, Trey, they penciled me, Trey.
But Tony, we saving that.
Get him up off you, Tony.
We saving that, but I want to go to everybody quickly to see who has surprised you the most in these 5 weeks. I'm gonna start with you, Trey. Which team has surprised you the most so far?
Washington. Washington, and then I would say Minnesota after that.
Yeah.
But Washington absolutely surprised me. And Minnesota, especially when they lost. But, you know, Sam Darnold, Kimball. So he was a talent that never been anywhere. But those were the 2 that surprised me the most.
Hey, Solomon, what about you? Which teams have, beyond the Commanders, because I think they're shocking everybody, which teams have surprised you the most?
We always talk about the word surprise as being positive. I'm actually going to take it to the negative route. The San Francisco 49ers. You mean us taking AP from y'all has got y'all to the point where y'all are that bad? Between injuries and everything else going on in that organization, that was Dad's team last year. They're dropping. So I'm actually surprised at how they're playing this year as a squad since we took the great AP from them.
Yeah, we took a whole bunch of other people's from them too. Hey, Gary, who has surprised you in this early season?
Besides the Commanders, Minnesota, the Vikings. That's, you know, I wasn't paying attention. I happened to look at the standings today. I was like, they're undefeated. What? I was like, that's impressive. You know, I grew up a Viking fan as a child, so anytime I see them doing okay, I kind of put a smile on my face and kind of laugh. But I didn't expect them to be 5-0.
Not after they lose their quarterback. And Alex, who surprised you the most?
I'm going to take a page out of Solomon's book with the sort of the negative surprise. The Cincinnati Bengals, who the Commanders, 2 or 3 weeks ago go up there. That feels like a really tough game for Washington. They beat them in prime time. They did get 1 win, but they come to Baltimore. They played Baltimore this last weekend and blow sort of a late lead, and that was a wild game. But Joe Burrow, those 2 receivers, this is a team that supposedly is right there with the sort of Kansas Cities of the world, the Baltimores of the world in that conference, the Buffaloes of the world, another surprise, not in a good way. and somehow it's just not working for that squad. So they're a surprise, just not a good surprise.
Well, before I go to you, Tony, to have the last word, I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills, they started off strong, fell apart just a little bit. And the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, they are a disaster right now. I mean, they can't get out of their own way, quarterback fussing with the coach. I mean, to me, if they don't get it together, they're going to be at the bottom of the barrels, and then the Giants are going to be moving up. But, Tony, who has surprised you in this early part of the season?
Well, you just hit 50% of mine when I said the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know something's wrong with them, but we do not know what's wrong. Is the quarterback hurt? Is it because he and the receiver can't get together? Is somebody doing something in the locker room that's messing them up? This is a totally different team than they were this time last year. But another one that's starting to perplex me is the Miami Dolphins. You got all this speed. You got all these people. Yeah, you're going to have people injured, but you don't just fall off the map like they have. They can barely beat themselves. So those two teams there are a very big surprise. I don't know, Donna, if it is because of the new players, the new situation. But one thing you do have to say is it's going to be a new big boy in town this year. And speaking of that, when we come back and do our picks, Donna, you heard her make that little snide remark. It's not you. Well, if I ain't in first, I'm ahead of you. We'll be back in a minute.
Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com Speakers Bureau.
Well, if you look at the picture, you saw that none of us are burning up the world, but at the same time, we're still early in the game. So what we're going to do this week, we're going to, Don, you can put that down. You just lucky to even be on the sheet. What we're going to do this week is I'm going to ask everybody before we say goodbye, who do you pick in the game? Commanders or the Ravens? Donna first.
Of course, the Commanders.
Big Zoe.
Come on, the people that got my dad a ring.
Trey.
I ain't getting no ring, so. But I got to go Baltimore just because I think they got a lot of film out now, and Jade and them are no longer a surprise. They ain't sneaking up on nobody, and everybody can go in that room and watch all this tape and try to find that new stuff. Because then the first 4 weeks is over. You got film. I got to go Baltimore. My heart going to be Washington, but if we're doing the analyst thing, I got to go Baltimore.
G.
You know, I'm going with the Commanders, and Trey, people look at a lot of film on you when you play. They got to see you. They got to handle. And at the end of the day, they couldn't do nothing with you, dog. So it didn't matter that they saw the film on you. They still couldn't do nothing with you. So I'm going with the Commanders.
Ravens by 3. Commanders will cover. Ravens will win the game by that much.
I hate to say it's going to be a good game, but it's the first time in 40 years I'm going to say I think the Ravens are going to win. But the one thing that we talking about winning is, like the old poet Voltaire said, he said, I may disapprove what you say. I defend till your death the right to say it. So I'm telling you guys, what you want to say, that means you vote. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why we say never goodbye. We say in the minute.